We are discussing the 13th Adhyaya, in which Krishna Paramatma is informing, advising, preaching to Arjuna the concepts of Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Prakriti, Purusha, Jnana, Jneya, with a very simple expression of desire by Arjuna to know the concepts and the contents of these so-called technical terms in the jargon style. Krishna Paramatma elaborates. And then he himself raises a number of questions on behalf of Arjuna. So while trying to explain, while proceeding to explain the meanings of Kshetra, he himself puts 6 dimensions of the explanation. Kshetram yaccha yadrikcha yadvikari yataha yat sacha yaha yat prabhavaha. So I narrated the other day that these questions are also giving us some clues about research methodology. Whenever you are exploring a new concept or a new theme, you should be as thorough as possible, or at least as thorough as Lord Krishna. My saying at least is to say that Krishna is the ultimate. So we should learn from his directions or his guidance as to how we should analyze a particular new concept, new theory. Yaccha means Yat Swarupam. What is its nature? Even though at the cost of repetition I am going to recall that. Yadvikari means Yaccha Yadrikcha. Which are the Yat Prakaram? What are the various varieties of it? Then Yadvikari means what are the transformations, what are the effects of that. Then Yataha Yat, that means from whom do this object gets energy or ability to function. You see, somebody is there to motivate. Then such a Yaha, what are his attributes and qualities? Then more than that, Yat Prabhavaha, what are his expansive capabilities? Is he only manipulating or regulating these objects, or something more is there in his capability? Like that, these 6 questions give us very deep insight about the concept of Kshetra and then Kshetrajna. Then Lord himself says that he is the Kshetrajna. Bhagavan Krishna himself is the Kshetrajna. Then the Kshetras are the material and the emotional objects that exist around us. We found that there are 25 elements, that is Mahabhutani, Ahankara, Buddhi, Avyakta Tattva, then
Pancha Jnanendriya,
Pancha Karmendriya, Manassu, then Pancha Tanmatras. All together I think they make 25. So 25 elements describe the material contextual surrounding in which we are positioned. So in the 11th Adhyaya, Krishna Paramatma took Arjuna to the cosmos and made him realize how expansive is the universe and how expansive is his presence in the universe in different forms. But he did not want to keep Arjuna in that state of bewilderment. He wanted to bring him back to the earth to see where you are positioned, what kind of responses you should have to the environment around you. And then the various moods or emotions like Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha, then consciousness, Chetana, Dhriti, all these. Then Sanghata is this Sharira, all these Jivendriya, Indriya, Antahkarana, all these together make the Vikaras. So these are the emotional instrumentalities for making us establish links with the material objects around us. Material objects, in short, you can call it as the nature in which we are positioned. And our contact, our response, our reactions, interactions with the nature would be through our emotional attitudes. We may love it, we may consider it as our slave, as the modern materialistic science or economics is telling us, destroy the nature for our benefit, or you may treat them with respect and use them to the extent that is necessary for the human welfare. So these emotions, Ichcha, Dvesha, Sukha, Dukkha, Sanghata, Chetana, Dhriti, these are symbolic, and all other emotions which enable us to establish link with the outside world have to be taken under that category. As you see, I am trying to give a wider interpretation of the terms so that it becomes relevant to our everyday life. And all these are kshetra along with their transformations, vikara, kshetra vikara. See, the word vikara applies to the process of transformation. Just as we often say, mrit, that is the mud, is the basic source material, like prakriti. Then when it is put into mold and then the potter does many things on it, you get the pot. So pot is the vikrita swarupa of the mrit. It is the transformation.
Usually in our regional languages, the word vikara is taken or interpreted in a very inconvenient manner. But whereas in all the texts of philosophy, the word vikara is a highly valuable technical term. It is the evolute or it is the product. All the products of clay. Clay is prakriti and the idols are vikriti. Similarly, gold is prakriti.
Ornaments are vikriti. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Vikara means by some effort the transformation that is done. So in the same way, Mahabhuta, Ahankara, Buddhi, Avyakta, Dasha Indriya, Dasha Panchajnanendriya, all these are kshetras. And then kshetra vikaras are these various emotions, attitudes, evolutes, transforms. And then even the deha is included in the kshetra vikara. No, we have to understand these things both in their highly technical jargonistic terms and also in the most mundanized common parlance terms. As you rightly said, two examples which you gave make it clear what is the material and what is the transformation, what is the basic source material and what is the vikrita, prakriti, vikriti. These are the terms used. Okay. Now we have to understand kshetrajna. Ultimately, to some extent, jivatma is also a person who understands the kshetra. But his understanding is under the control of Paramatma and he does not have full understanding or full command. He is not the regulator of all these elements of kshetra. So ultimate knower of these components of kshetra and ultimate commander over all these objects is Paramatma. So now we have come to the stage after knowing the components of kshetra and kshetra vikaras, who is kshetrajna? What are his capabilities? What are his characteristics? What are his attributes? Now, everywhere we see in mentioning about Paramatma, he first puts the necessary and sufficient conditions to make us eligible to have that knowledge, arhata. As I said, athato brahmajnasa at adhyayana samadhamada efikara sampatyanantaram. Now, it appears that in the traditional heritage or the practice system, some people are not allowed to get to the knowledge of certain categories. The reason is, if they do not fulfill and if they are not in a position to fulfill those eligibility conditions, they are not allowed. That is, they are not entered. They are not entering. Those who are the eligibility conditions, they go. And many of the Stris are allowed to learn Vedas. Though Stris, ladies, women are considered not eligible, but many eligible women have received the Vedic knowledge. Similarly, for instance, Gargi, Maitreyi, etc. And then our Vishwamitra, though Kshatriya, became the commander of the Gayatri Mantra out of his effort. So this cross-fertilization of different varnas was feasible provided you fulfill those conditions, necessary conditions. So now he is telling us what are the disciplines which one should follow to be eligible to understand kshetrajna. We have seen some of these conditions. Now we are going to the next set of conditions. There are 20 necessary and sufficient conditions, dharmas. See, amanitvam, adambhitvam, ahimsa, kshantihi, arjavam, acharyopasanam, shaucham, sthiryam, atma vinigraha, indriyartheshu vairagyam. All these we have completed. Now the next is anahankaraha evacha. Ahankara means avidyamana atmagunabhimanaha atmagunabhimana mohaha. Then anahankaraha means avidyamana atmagunabhimana atmaguna abhimana. Some sort of pride for one's own attributes, but those attributes do not exist. You see, that is, I am not a generous person, but still I feel a very generous person. I am not a compassionate person, but still I feel a very compassionate. I am a lover of the poor people. I provide them all the succor. So this feeling, and then that itself is moha. The word moha in Sanskrit is used whenever you have misplaced faith. You see, moha is ajnana, viparita jnana, anyatha jnana. So Arjuna was also having the moha because he did not realize the importance of performance of his duties. So he was mohavishta. Yadate moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam srotavyasya srutasya. Your buddhi has been corrupted with misunderstanding, misconception. So I must brush your buddhi, remove that rust from your instrument.
Correct diagnosis.
Correct diagnosis, very correct diagnosis. And he continues with that systematic manner to remove the moha, and then asks him to give up the weakness of his mind and asks him to get up and start doing his duty. That is the process with which he proceeds, and that is the approach which we should adopt while dealing with any truant officer, any boy or girl at home, or any truant colleague between husband and wife. When there is misunderstanding, you try to go to the root cause of the misunderstanding. Whenever there is distancing of relations, you should also find out why it has happened. If somebody at home says that I am totally morose, I am not interested in doing anything, there is something, misunderstanding has cropped up in his or her mind, and so he or she has become totally morose. Mano mohanamittakat shokat and mano daurbalyam yasmin sati sarva vyaparo paramaha bhavati saha vishadaha. So all this vishada, this moha, could also be in the form of avidyamana atma gunabhimana mohapavaha. Avidyamana atma guna. See, there are many attributes for the individuals. Even many people, even if they are not looking good, charming, they think I am the most charming person in the world, whether lady or man, Or in general, if you are very alert or active, but still you have a feeling that you are a very dynamic person. So this is moha, and not having such moha is important for being eligible to get to the knowledge about Paramatma.
Particularly for the phenomenal self, it is
That's
ahankara,
right.
is
That's
phenomenal
right.
self.
Phenomenal self.
In corporate world also, mostly these managers and CEOs, they'll try to motivate people who are believing that they are not able to do the job.
Yes.
And at the same time, people with overconfidence will be given some example that they are not really that capable.
That's right.
It is happening because of the total overall team effort.
Exactly.
For example, in our case, our Lord Krishna, he says you are not going to kill them. Already they are
You are killed already.
already
Yeah.
killed.
That's right.
You are just going to kill
That's
the
right.
dead man. So
That's
in the
right.
same way, the CEO says anyhow the project is going to be ours because our quotation is going to be the very least
Lowest.
one, L1 kind of thing. But only thing is we have to present the case properly.
Properly.
So that is what your job is.
That's right. Yes.
That's all.
So
we are
one has
going
to
do.
show the right manifestation or disclosure of the qualities of the individual in the as it is, not overconfidence or underconfidence. So Atma Gunabhimana, Avidyamana Atma Gunabhimana. If somebody is not capable and if he thinks that he is capable, it's not the others telling him. Abhimana means getting a wrong feeling about oneself, wrong capability, as you said, overconfidence. So Atma Gunabhimana Moha Abhavaha. Superfluous. And now if you take the mundanized version of Paramatma, means perfection, the highest efficiency, super efficiency. Or if you want to achieve that highest efficiency and competence, overconfidence is no good. So if I replace the word Paramatma, which an icon of perfection and highest efficient thing, to move towards that, you must be realistic. You cannot be highly overconfident or not even underconfident. So anahankaraha is again a very important necessary condition for being eligible to move towards perfection. or to understand Paramatma, who is an icon of perfection. Anahankaryevacha. Janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. So here you should have a clear understanding of the environment in which we live. The jivas are living in samsara, and that is the cycle of janma and mrityu. Then there is jara and vyadhi. So in all these dimensions of life, which is part of our experience, you should be able to perceive dukkha. Dukkha dosha anudarshanam. That means having the proper conviction and perception that all these are blemishful. They are not really permanent for us. You see, janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha dosha anudarshanam. Anudarshanam. That means proper faith in the fact doshasya anudarshanam anukshanam anusandhanam ityarthaha. Again, Raghavendra Swamiji's commentary comes to our rescue to interpret each word in the most appropriate manner. Anusandhanam. Every time you should feel that whatever life or samsara I am living in is having lot of dukkha and lot of dosha. So the purpose of telling this is that you should be as much as possible should be becoming detached from it. That means don't show excessive attachment to the family, the surrounding, the pleasures, worldly pleasures, etc. You must see that there is dukkha, there is dosha in it. So that anusandhana should be there. Anusandhana means even though apparently it may appear to be very pleasurous and joyful, but you should have conviction in the mind that they are not really pleasurable objects. Then
here, I would like to say
yes, please.
Particularly curiously, when we see the other systems of philosophy also, particularly Buddhism, because when he started his probe into the cause of miseries, Buddhism came into existence.
Yes.
Similarly, even in Sankhya philosophy, Dukkhatraya Abhigata.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
right.
Dukkhatraya, removal of the Dukkhatraya leads to Kaivalya. This
Yes.
Similarly, here also, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi
Dukkha
Doshanu Darshanam. Here also we have the probe into the cause of the miseries.
That's right.
And that leads to the perfection.
Exactly.
Everywhere, the cause of the miseries.
In fact, one of the acharyas has said the very basic purpose of Vedas and Vedic knowledge is to remove the miseries of your life, not only in this life, amushmika, aihika and amushmika dukkha. Adukkha itarat sarvam, jiva evatu dukkhinaha, tesham dukkha prahanaya srutiresha pravartate. Except beings, living beings, all the else does not experience dukkha. They are all jada padarthas. Of course, there is the science that trees also have life, and so they feel the misery and they feel the happiness and so on. But here it is the expressive world.
Sir, just now it is striking to my mind. Can we interpret this like this? Dukkha doshanu darshanam. Tatra janma mrityu jara vyadhi dukkha doshanu darshanam. Here in this phrase, all these janma mrityu jara vyadhi, all these are and dukkha, these are all doshas, erroneous perceptions. So can we interpret like this? Actually, from the standpoint of view of Paramatma, these are all not valid. So we are getting these erroneous perceptions because of our ahankara and the interference of other
No, but out of the ahankara we get the perception of sukha in them. But having the feeling that they are dukkha and dosha, you should have special effort to have that anusandhana, which is contrary to our normal experience, normal feelings about them.
Even worldly pleasures, as we get worldly pleasures, sometimes we get displeasures also in the world. These are all because of our ahankara. So this is erroneous. So
yes, that way also we can. So we will have to keep ourselves away from the worldly pleasures or displeasures by considering them as trivial, considering them as wrongful, whereas the ultimate bliss is only in understanding Paramatma. Yes, that
In
interpretation is
corporate
also.
world also, in stock market they say, never love a script, never love a share. Which you possess, because because of that you believe that company has to grow even though it is not worth of growing. So don't love a share or maybe a script.
Okay.
Be detached with that.
Be detached.
And
Be
when you
objective.
be objective. When it is not doing well, ready to sell it off.
Yes.
Whatever may be the price.
Yeah. That's
So when the Jara, Janma, Mrityu, all these things applicable even in the share market.
That's right.
When you purchase it, you believe that it is your baby.
Yeah.
When you have to sell it, you have to see that it is going to die.
That's
Mrityu.
Oh yes, absolutely. that kind of practical interpretation is very correct. So only with that anusandhana you will be able to move away from these trivial or impermanent sources of either pleasure or displeasure. Then only you will realize that there is something more than that which gives us the ultimate permanent pleasure. And you can move towards status of ultimate pleasure gradually, stepwise. So for moving towards ultimate pleasure, you should be freed from the bondages, that is prakriti nirmita bondages. Sattvam guna, sattvam rajastama iti guna prakriti sambhavaha nibadhanti mahabaho dehe dehinam avyam. And sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamoguna in turn generate kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsara. So to be totally free from the sources of bondage, you will have to move gradually towards it.
Interestingly, about the gunas, in one of the texts on philosophy, they say that it is called guna because it binds.
Yes. Guna is the rope. Guna also
rope.
means, absolutely.
So
No, very correct. Yes.
That's why they are the three strands. Maya binds us. These sattva, rajas, and tamas are the three strands in the
Yes. Very right.
the rope of Maya.
That's right. That
That Maya binds us.
binds us, that keeps us bound, and your effort is to do sadhana to get rid of that binding, you see. So asaktihi anabhishvangaha putradaaragrahadishu nityancha samachittatvam ishtanishtopapatishu. Again, these are again part of those 20 necessary and sufficient conditions, dharmas, to be eligible to understand kshetrajna. Asaktihi means putradaaragrahadishu asaktihi. Then anabhishvangaha, the son or the progeny. Dara means the wife, graha means property. In all these things you should not have excessive sneha, attachment. As you said, the scripts, you should not think that it is our permanent asset. And anabhishvangaha, atipakva sneha bhavaha, you should not have excessive involvement that it is ours. Atipakva sneha bhavaha, highest order of affection or attachment. So where putra dara grahadeshu, putra is the progeny, son or daughter, dara is wife. In Sanskrit the word dara is dara pumbhumni, daraha, but in samasa it becomes dara. Putra dara grahadeshu asaktihi sneha bhavaha, then anabhishvangaha, atipakva sneha bhavaha, then ishtanishtopapatishu samachittatvam. The same thing has been stated while describing the concept of sthita pratyatva. Ishta, anishta, upapatti. Upapatti means prapti. Whenever you get something dear to you, when you are getting a scrip which is likely to rise in value in the share market, you will be very happy. But if you find that the same scrip is losing its value because of some cuffing of the Reserve Bank or the central government or the international events, it loses its value. Suddenly you will find that it is anishta. So in both the situations you should have samachittatva. The same thing is stated in Sthita Prajna. Rajahati yada kaman sarvan partha manogatan atmannevatmana tushtaha Sthita Prajnastadochate. Sukheshu vigataspraha vitaragabhaya. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukheshu vigataspraha vitaragabhaya krodha sthitavhihi muniruchyate. So that is the definition of Sthita Prajna. Throughout he is defining the position or the stature of being equanimous. 99.9% of the time we are not in life. That is why we get the miseries. Even simple things like, if you expect somebody else to do something for you or respond to your desire in a particular way, if he or she does not do it, you start getting dukkha, and if he or she does it, you get sukha. So the sources of sukha and dukkha are infinite in our system. But in all these situations, if you are samachitta, equanimous, then you will not be losing the strength of your inner strength. Your potential for being highly efficient and productive will not be affected if you practice the approach of remaining equanimous. We see in our midst, there are many people who are unruffled. Unruffled does not mean you don't run away, you run away from the place or you don't get involved. You are keen on going on a path of progress or achievement, but you don't get deterred by the ups and downs in that smooth trajectory of growth or moving towards a better welfare or better life.